Hey everyone, down here in the corner, Ari Taublieb with Root Financial Partners. One of the most common questions I'm asked is, what does a financial plan even look like? What does that even mean? Well, that's what I'm going to show you today, is when people go through our planning process, what can they expect? So to start, I'm going to make me a little bit smaller so you do not have to look at that. I'm going to go into the corner here, and what I'm doing is I'm going through a simulation. These are not real people, Amanda and Jeff up here, not real people, but very similar to clients that we work with. Now, what I did is before going into this is I had a conversation with Amanda and Jeff, hypothetically, and after that conversation, we said, let's make a plan for you. But before making that plan, we want to understand, what do you care about most? Where do you want to go? What really excites you about retirement? We want to take all of that data so that we can create that plan. One of the things we often say here at Root is it's not about the financial plan, it's about financial planning, because life changes, legislation changes, tax law changes. So how can we have a plan that reflects all of that in live time? So to start is Amanda and Jeff. Imagine I spoke with them and they told me they wanted to retire together at 67. I'm putting that into the plan here. They tell us they want to spend $10,000 a month. We are on the back end making sure that's one, being adjusted for taxes, meaning they have $10,000 a month after taxes. And then two, it's adjusted for inflation. We want to make sure that's being taken into consideration. Then we have some annual retirement health costs. We have some long-term care costs we want to be accounting for. And then another goal is they want to be able to send Kelly to college, their daughter. So this is a hypothetical of what this might look like. And we just say, hey, here's what you told us in the last meeting. Amanda, Jeff, these are the goals you shared with us. Is there anything missing? Is there anything from our last meeting that you say, hey, I really want to make sure we're accounting for this car or this big trip or something fun in retirement? Remember, retirement is allowed to be fun. Going through this planning process can be very stressful to many, and I will be the first to understand that. But I want you to know that we are doing this to create a fun life, to maximize your return on life. We simply use your money to do that. So after we go through the goals, we reiterate their income. And so I'm going to click this tab here. And Amanda, you told us you make $65,000 a year. Jeff, you told me you make $150,000 a year. We had a conversation around Social Security, whether you want to include that and to what extent. That's in here. And then you have side income. And you can see if I expand that, we can say, okay, how much, how long do we want to plan on that? And you can see here we're starting at this year and we're ending it in 2 years. We're not putting any annual increase on that. We could put 0%, we could put 3%, whatever we'd like. So that's what it looks like. We say, hey, are you guys saving any extra? And they say, yes, I'm doing 3% to my 401k. Amanda is telling me that she's getting 100% match at 3%, and we're putting that into the plan here. Jeff is saying I get 5%, meaning that's what I'm contributing, and then I'm also getting a 3% match. We say, great, let me move me again. So we want that in the plan. And then they're also saving on top of that to Kelly's 529 plan. So we're including that here. Then no one knows exactly, but we want to get a sense of what are your expenses in retirement? What do you want to spend? And not just what are the core expenses, but have you been putting off big travel, whether it be domestic or international? Or you want to say, you know what, I want to fly to wherever my kids are going to be. Or you say, you know what, Ari, don't have any specific goals on that end, but I have specific legacy goals. I want to be able to spend down every dollar. I worked hard for that. Great, let's put that into the plan. And so here's what they've told us they want to spend $10,000 a month. We take all of that and we look at their investments next. And what we do is we say, okay, here are all of your investments put together. Of all of your investments, how are they allocated? And we'll see here, okay, there's maybe a 70-30 split, meaning 70% equities, 30% fixed income in this one account. But what about your 401k? Okay, it's a little bit more aggressive. Okay, Jeff, what about your IRA? Okay, what we see here, and the reason I'm going through this, is to show you a lot of people come in with different accounts and they don't all talk to each other. And so we want to get an understanding of not just how are you investing in one account, but every account and how does that talk to one another. From there, we say, okay, those are your investments, but let's go back to our balance sheet here and say, based off of your balance sheet, what are we working with? Okay, Jeff, you have a 401k. Amanda, you have a 401k. Jeff, you have an IRA. Amanda, you have an IRA. Kelly, we have your 529. We have your joint brokerage account, almost what we call the financial freedom account. Maybe it's for a home. Maybe it's to retire early, whatever it is. We want to account for all of this. And you can put in any checking accounts. You can say, what's our real estate? You can say, what's the mortgage? Any credit cards? all of that good stuff goes into this account right here. Now from there, we're just getting started, and I can make a whole nother video on this, but really want to show you what this has the ability to do is to create the life you want to live. And what I mean by that is it is not our job as planners to tell you what to do. It is our job as planners to show you the trade-offs so you can understand, wow, what if I do work more? Okay, what if I do spend less? Okay, what if I do take that big trip I've been waiting on? I want you to have the clarity to do so. So I'm going to click this retirement tab right here, and this is going to tell us, if we go here, that if they continue doing what they're doing, they're going to be in a very good spot. They're going to have $9 million at age 90. Now, no one knows exactly, but this is from historical projections based off their current portfolio. Now, what we can do here is toggle on, okay, $9 million, that sounds like a lot of money. What is that in future dollars? To really think about it, we could toggle that on right here. Well, that $9, it's more like having about $3 million by the time they're 90, so that can be helpful to see. Now, moving on to the action items, this is the real fun of retirement planning to me, is based off the conversation. Jeff, Amanda, you told me you want to retire at age 67. What if you want to retire earlier? And we'll just toggle this down. So what if you want to retire at 64? Just for an example. And I'm going to move myself out of the way there, playing tag with myself. And I'm going to refresh that. And you're going to see what it's going to do to the plan is it's not going to look as good on paper. In fact, they're going to have 5.2 million less dollars. But you might say, oh my gosh, Ari, that's horrible if you're Amanda and Jeff. Or I would invite you to say, is your goal to end up with $9 million? Or is your goal to spend more while you're here, do more while you're here, travel more, give more, whatever it is you want to do, how can we make sure you do more of that? Because the goal here is not to say how can I end up with the most amount of money, but how can I do more while I'm here? And so this is an example of that. What if we say, you know what, I want to work a few more years, I love what I do, and let's say you want to work until 70. But you say, you know what, I'd love to spend a little more, call it $12,000 instead of $10,000 a month. How does that impact the plan? And what you can see here is if we update this, oh my gosh, we have a whole lot more money in terms of what the plan looks like is we're spending $12,000 a month instead of $10,000 a month, $24,000 more every single year we're spending, and we worked a few more years, and you might say that's a trade-off I really like. We have $35,000 more, so it's not a huge difference to the plan, but it is to your lifestyle. So these are the things that we play with trade-offs. How do we adjust Social Security? Should we not take it at 62? What if we take it later? Okay, we're invested a certain way now. I'm going to reset this. So I'm going to click reset right here. And I'm going to now show you, okay, what if we invest a little differently? Maybe you go into one of our model portfolios, just as an example. I'm clicking this here, not saying it's best for Amanda and Jeff, but what if I toggle that on? Okay, the plan's going to look a whole lot better. But you might go, Ari, is that an aggressive portfolio? Well, this dimensional 100 in this case is a more aggressive portfolio. And you might say, I'm not looking for that experience. What if we go with a little bit of a more conservative portfolio, still making sure we're outpacing inflation? How does that impact the plan? Okay, we're going to have even less dollars because of the way I'm currently invested. So the goal here is to say, here are a bunch of different portfolios that we have here at the firm, and what makes most sense for you is not going to be what makes most sense for your neighbor or your best friend or your coworker. It's all custom. The other thing I always like to toggle on, and I could do this for hours, so I know I'm already at 8.5 minutes, but I promise this is what we love doing, want to show you what it looks like, is this is an example of the Guardrails Approach. You might have heard about this on a podcast of mine or of my partner James Knowles, which is what if we withdraw income a little bit differently than the 4% rule. The 4% rule just stating if you have $1 million, you can be rest assured you take out 4% or $40,000 a year, and you will not run out of money for 30 years. However, that's assuming you're invested in 50% large caps, 50% large companies, and 50% U.S. intermediate term bonds. Well, what if we invest a little better? What if we add real estate, small companies, emerging markets, all of these different asset classes, and we hit refresh? Well, it allows us to pull from different areas in retirement. So right there, we're adding $1 million more or so by just pulling really intelligently. So I know I could go into a whole lot on this. I'm going to make it myself a little bigger just to show you right here. This is what planning looks like. There's no right or wrong. It's what do you care about most, and let's make a plan to reflect that. And we have not even got into tax planning. We have not even got into real investment deep dive. I have other videos just like this on that, but wanted to show you what does it look like to go through a planning process. What does financial planning really mean? So I hope that was helpful, and this is what you can expect in our next meeting. And if you're watching this video saying I haven't gone through your planning process yet, but I am interested, reach out to me. Always feel free to reach out to me. You can send us an email. You can apply to work with us on my website as well as at rootfinancialpartners.com, and we will show you what this planning process looks like for you. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great evening or day, depending on when you're watching this video.